Okay, welcome everybody. This is Martin Katz from relocation.im, and I'm just going to do a very quick video about property in the Isle of Man, because obviously, if you're thinking you're moving here, that's kind of a relevant thing. So you'll see on the website we've got a few bits and bobs regarding property. In fact, we've got actually a whole section on that. So um, let's start with property prices, shall we? So the building stock in the Isle of Man is a mixture of old and new. There's plenty of variety. The market has been pretty tight since COVID, so finding the right property for sale or renting a property in particular can be very challenging indeed. There's a sort of indication of prices here. So sort of modern one-bed flats start at sort of 175-ish. Three-bed house and a nice estate, you're looking at 375. Two-bed houses, say, a flat on the promenade, not a house, flat on the promenade, maybe 265, and so on. So you can see there up to sort of modern executive house, sort of 750-ish. So that's roughly where it's at. So it's sort of people from the south of England think it's reasonably priced, whereas people from the north of England think it's very expensive. So it's all a matter of perspective. So I was in Leamington Spa recently, and prices probably a little bit cheaper in the Isle of Man than Leamington Spa, but maybe we are catching up. In terms of which areas, well, the whole island's really, really nice. You've probably seen some videos by now looking around the place. So actually, there isn't really an unpleasant area on the island. So all of that is pretty good, really. In terms of our estate agents, there's a list here. You won't find a lot of the stuff is not always listed on Rightmove and the other aggregators in the UK. So if you're serious about moving here, it's quite important that you look at the individual websites of our estate agents. And as you can see from this list, there aren't actually very many, really. So the top four there, Black Grace, Cowley, Crystals, Deanwood, and Cowley Groves, are far and away the largest. But you do get some gems actually coming up on the smaller ones. So definitely worth looking at those individually. And on the whole, to be fair, our estate agents are pretty good, which is not a common comment about estate agents, but I think they are actually. So in terms of searching for a property, we can help you with that. If you can obviously look for yourself, but if you want to have a viewing virtually, we can go and do that with the agent on a video, and obviously we're representing the buyer rather than the seller, unlike the agent. So if there's somewhere that you're interested in, you're not able to get over, obviously the best bet is always to get here. But if you're not able for some reason to get here, then drop me a line, and my wife often will do that actually. In terms of the buying process, it's similar. I'm going to say it's similar to the UK, but to be honest, it's a while since I bought property in the UK. But essentially, you go to the estate agents, you try and find a property that you like, you put an offer in. The offer that you put in will be subject to survey and subject to contract. You then, normally, if that's agreed, you would then arrange for somebody to go and do the survey. The chartered surveyor, and then if you're still happy after that, then it would go into the hands of the advocates, and it would then be subject to contract. The advocates will do the usual searches. Normally, you're paying them up front for the some of those costs. I think we normally pay about £600 up front. And then the advocates start doing the searches, sort of planning searches, making sure it's connected to the main sewerage, making sure the electric's there, making sure there's no compulsory purchase orders or anything like that knocking around, making sure the planning's been appropriately dealt with, and so on and so forth. All the usual things, basically. Advocates' costs, we have advocates here rather than solicitors. Advocates' costs typically, you need to budget sort of £1,600 to £2,000, probably plus VAT. So it is, I don't know, I think that's a little bit more expensive than the UK is. So Once you're happy with all of that, then obviously a contract's drawn up, and normally speaking, it is approved. If you approve the contract, you exchange contracts, pay 10%, and agree a completion date. Um, Obviously, if the banks are involved because you're taking mortgage finance, then you're going to need to factor that into the equation as well. So the banks will be wanting to see what the valuations are and so on and so forth. Anyway, then on the final day, on the completion day, basically, normally what happens is the advocates will complete, money will be exchanged, the mortgage finance is paid up if it's necessary, and then the advocates will deal with the registration of the title. There's no stamp duty land tax in the Isle of Man. So, following the purchase, the advocate normally will deal with the recordal fee. Um, so, our rates are a little bit less than stamp duty land tax. I think there's something on here in the UK, but to us they seem expensive. But up to £230,000, there's no registration fee. Then it's 1%, and then between 230 and 500, and then it's 500,000 to a million is £20 basically per £1,000. So it's 2% basically. So if there are non-residents involved and so on, then there are some higher rates. So you'll need to check that individually. But other than that, that is essentially how it works. That is how we deal with purchasing property here in the Isle of Man. So I will leave it at that. Thank you very much. Hope that was useful.